Welcome to the Poultry Keepers Podcast. Today, we're focusing on one of the most important but often overlooked stages of poultry keeping, and that's the grow out phase. From the moment chicks leave the brooder until they reach maturity, every sign, behavior, and growth milestone is telling you something. Are you listening? In this episode, we'll explore how to observe, document, and interpret what your growing birds are communicating and how that guides you to your flock's future success. And joining me here is John and Mandelyn. Hey guys, good to see you again. Haven't talked to you in a while.
Morning, Rip.
Glad to be back at it.
I hope things are going just Jim Dandy fine up your way.
Yeah, we're a little soggy. April showers bring April mud. It's the wet season here. It's time to go get a couple more bales of hay and straw and throw them around the run. Keep the chickens' feet dry.
I wish it was a wet season here. It's been so dry.
It's a mixed blessing during grow out season because when you're growing the young birds, they might be a little sensitive to that added moisture and might come with some added care needs to keep them dry and safe.
Sure.
But we do get a lot of extra protein with all the earthworms and bug larvae and stuff popping up. Oh, they're loving it.
Oh, yeah. They creep up to the surface to hide from that extra water, and the birds just scoop them right up.
I'll tell you what, there's a silver lining to every cloud, isn't there?
You betcha.
Most of them.
Let's kick this off. Why the grow out phase matters. And we've bred the birds, we've hatched the eggs, we've brooded the chicks, and then we come to this grow out phase. A lot of folks, I think, look at it as a wait and see stage, but there's really a lot going on with our birds. And instead of just looking at it as a growth stage, look at it this way. Growth equals their genetic potential plus nutrition plus management. Now, if you're overlooking this stage, can lead to lost productivity or poor breeding decisions. And it can lead to lost productivity, especially as the birds start to mature. How has early growth indicators shaped your long-term plot goals, Mandelyn?
Since I'm doing the dual purpose thing, and since I'm monitoring growth rate, and since I have a preferred window of harvest between 14 and 16 weeks old, I have a lot I need to pay attention to from 5 weeks to 12 weeks. So they're out of the brooder, they're feathered, and on the one hand, I can just drop them in a grow pen and check on them in 16 weeks, or I can monitor what they're doing week by week to find those birds that are growing the best, to find the ones who filled out, who gained their fleshing and then maintained it for the duration. Because when they are growing, there's several different growth rates they can have. They might be a little speedy. They might be a little in between. They might be super fast. And that is going to closely tie into the sort of bird they're supposed to become. And the bone structure, the height, all of that happens at different rates for different breeds, for different bloodlines. So during the grow out phase, you want to get in there with them and monitor and check and figure out what you have and how it's best to work with them.
Yep. I like to, as you all know, I'm a data-driven breeder, and I put most of my focus and energy straight into those first 3 weeks when they're in the brooder doing my daily weight checks, because I get a really strong indicator of later growth by capturing that very early growth potential. And then once they hit the ground at 3 weeks, I'm pretty much just confirming everything and going, yep, you can go. Pretty much by that time, I've got my eyes on just a few keepers, and everybody else I'm just growing out for harvest or for sale.
That happened to me yesterday, actually. We had a group of cockerels to process, and one of those cockerels I had in with my turkeys because he was being full of himself early, and they hit the grow pen at about 5 weeks, but I already made a pick for a male. I think it's going to be this one based on early growth in those first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So yesterday when I was going through them, who's getting processed today and who gets the reprieve to show me some more about them, My original pick held up. So that was neat. He's still a turkey out there doing his little bird thing.
And he's probably benefiting from some of that extra protein in the turkey feed.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And
He
lack of
ranges with them.
competition. And lack of competition by other, of his own breed. He's basically king of the turkeys now.
There's one male turkey that gives him a run for his money and keeps him in check. But he's cool. We'll see how he pans out. He's 15 weeks now.
I'm just starting my turkey journey. I've got some poults at just coming up on a week old, and they've stolen my heart. They're wonderful little chicks. But we'll probably loop her back around to them later.
Yeah, probably.
It sounds like you guys do something that I do, as I try to look at this grow out phase as an opportunity to show me who the potential breeder candidates are for next year.
Yes.
For real.
That's it. Everybody else is either freezer or layer.
Exactly. You can learn so much. It goes back to what the individual who's got the flock, what their goals are, what's their long-term goals. And then you try to use those to sort back and go through those birds. Okay, this bird helped me reach this goal. No. What about this bird over here? Maybe. But what about this bird over here? Oh, yeah, he'll do it. It can help in your decision-making process.
Well, and it gives you a pretty clear indication of what you're breeding too, because watching that grow out phase is giving you everything you need to know about the birds you put together and hatched from to get those results. So what did they give you? What do you see from that prior generation that the grow outs are showing you in their growth? Was there consistency? Was there good utility? Was the feather growth correct for your environment and climate? Did you see any changes from how those parents grew out or the parents before them? Think about the whole line up to that point for as long as you had them. And if you're seeing better, similar, or worse results than you saw before.
And I think that goes back to keeping good records, because let's face it, I'm getting older and I get quite forgetful. But I can go back and refer to those notes and say, okay, now last year at this time, my birds were averaging being at this point. Now this year are they a little bit ahead of that? Are they right on target for that? Or are they dragging along, getting there, but not quite there? So again, keep good record. Keep really good record.
These daily weights as chicks is so empowering, and I'm always trying to get people to do this. I got 2 hens back that I hatched out and tracked before they were sold off, and then they've been passed around the neighborhood, and I actually got them back, and I'm hatching eggs from them now. And I was able to go back into my records and look at their development data for the first 3 weeks of their life. And looking at the charts against the eggs that are developing now from them, there's some powerful stuff there. You're a great aunt of this bird, and you're the mother of this bird, and I can see some very strong familial ties in those lines.
That's what I like about line breeding, is that you can hit a point with your line breeding where you start to see uniformity with the flock overall, but uniformity of different lines and how they grow and how they develop. And you can look at a bird and say, oh, I had a bird that looked like you 3 or 4 years ago. And it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When something pops up, it's like, oh, I remember your mother.
What's fascinating in my grow outs this year is I'm into the F2 part of my little project where I'm using my American breast with some of John's Chantekler genetics, and I only used one male, but the backside of that bird is stamped onto every single offspring I've gotten so far. The way the tail is, the shape, the angle, that's hanging in there strong.
It's amazing how some of that stuff breeds forward, isn't it?
Yeah,
and how does that,
I've interacted
what does that
with
do to the body capacity and overall structure of the breast for you? Are you finding it beneficial to the structure?
Oh, it's all over the place. They're the biggest, they're the smallest, they're tall, they're short, they're wide, they're everything.
Yeah, you got a whole lot of genetic soup.
Yeah, I'm already
for the
into
next
soup.
several generations, but
I think Mandy thrives
Wait
on
and
this
see.
genetic soup stuff. She gets off on that. I do.
Fascinating. Every single bird we processed yesterday was different. So one got reprieved, and there were 8 others that were not, and every single one of them was different.
I've had birds upside down in the cone, and I just put my hand in their vent area as I'm getting ready to do the deed, and I've gone, oh, wait a minute. No, you need to come back out. Because I
Yeah,
just
that
felt
hand
some
space needs to
structure
be
that I'm
big.
like, oh, that structure is just great. I need that in my hands. Mr. Rooster, you just got a reprieve. You're not barbecue, maybe. At least not this week. But that comes to also knowing your breeds. If you have individual lines within that breed, knowing that some people have the luxury of having the space and capacity to handle a dedicated meat versus egg line. I'm splitting it right down the middle. I'll compromise a little bit of egg production, a little bit of meat production to get good overall meat and egg production.
Let me ask you both a question, and Mandy, we'll start with you. But what do you find your grow outs are really telling you? Has that changed over the years?
They're really good at telling me if they need more space, if I need to upsize the water drinker, if I need to adjust the feed quantity, if I notice, like, for example, bickering coming at 8, 9, 10 weeks old. I'll look at my stocking rate and go, oh, yeah, they are a little tight. I should fix that. So I'll split the group up and give them a lot more space, and all that flock drama went away. But if I had ignored the symptoms, and it would have gotten worse and worse, as that stuff tends to do, if you're paying attention and you're listening to them, they're going to tell you every step of the way if they need something more. And as they gain in size and as they gain in confidence and as they start showing more about themselves, you can start looking at who has the most vigor, who's developing the right sort of temperament or the incorrect sort of temperament. And if you're seeing incorrect temperaments, it's a good time to check on your husbandry and your stocking rate and all that to make sure it's not your fault, so that you're getting a more clear representation of what the birds are naturally doing when all of your methods are in line with what they need.
Awesome. John, same question for you. What do you find your grow outs are really telling you?
Whether or not I'm doing my job correctly.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's for sure. They'll tell
Honestly,
you.
that is a pretty strong indicator. You can't hide. Flaws are going to be flaws. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm taking the good notes on growth and knowing what the line can do. That's going to let you know if your feed changes are working. Because let's say, for example, you have 2 or 3 generations of really good growth, and then you changed your feed, you get into another generation, and now the growth is different. Did you have enough notes to tell you it was different? Do you even know it's different? Because if you're not still in there weighing and tracking, you won't see those little differences unless you're taking your notes and monitoring.
That's so right. And guessing is never a good tool to rely on when you're breeding poultry. It always bites you. It always bites you.
Sure. And Mandy, you're probably looking for about the opposite of what I am. Before the fleshing starts to get dense on the birds, when I'm feeling my birds, I'm hefting them to assess the bone density. And you have very fine, thin bones. So you're probably at a certain phase of growth. You're able to lift them up and go, yeah, you've got the bone density I'm looking for. We'll see how the fleshing comes in on you.
I think that's exactly right, because I saw that yesterday. Because there is one cockerel, he just looked more than everyone else. And I was like, that probably looks like a real nice bird, actually. But then when I picked him up, I didn't feel the fleshing that I need to be there for my earlier harvest windows. He was all structure. He would kind of be an absolutely massive bird. I'm willing to bet, and if I had the space and time to grow him out and find out, that bird would have ended up at 12 pounds by the time he was 14 months old.
But do you want a bird that takes 14 months to reach
No, I
harvest
don't.
maturity?
Because when I picked him up at 15 weeks, he was all structure and no meat. We got what we could and bagged him up anyways.
Why? I've got a theory here, but let's talk a little bit why people so often overlook the grow out phase. I think most hobbyists tend to focus on either producing chicks or producing eggs.
I think that folks think they can take a break.
Yeah.
Or you're lulled into the thought that I've put all this work into it. Now it's time to just feed them and water them and let them grow and just observe. And it definitely requires a higher level of engagement during the grow out phase. They'll do okay if you just feed them and water them, keep good food and water and grit and calcium in front of them at all times, and keep their environment clean and safe. And they're going to do fine. But they're going to benefit from your daily interaction. There's that famous experiment Jeff did at Fertrell with the turkeys, and I'm doing that now with my poults. And I've already learned that with my chicks. Every chick gets weighed every day for the first 3 weeks. And it's not just pick it up, throw it on the scale, get the weight, grab the next one. I spend a couple of seconds with it. I talk to it, I coo it, I pet it a little bit. I'm trying to get it. There's a fine line, because later down the road, especially now that these physical limitations are starting to mount and compound on me, I can't have birds that are trip hazards in the yard for me. But I need them to also have a certain level of familiarity and not be afraid of humans and not be aggressive ever towards a human. So you can definitely over socialize your chicks.
Especially when the hormones start coming in on the males. And if they have no fear of you whatsoever, they're going to ask if you want to play. And the way they play may not be the way you want to engage with them.
Amen.
And then down the line past that, it's not play anymore.
No, it's serious.
Only once have I ever had one grow out, and it was right about week 14. This guy was just being a total jerk, running around, just running after every other male. To get done harassing one, then he'd go run after the other one and go after the other one. And after watching this for like 3 or 4 minutes, I'm just going to grab the marlin and finish the issue right here, because there's just no room for that at all, ever.
And birds like that tend to have low fertility too, because they're too worried about what everyone else is doing and not doing their job.
And this was luckily back when I was still dealing with the Buckeyes before I got into the Chanticleers. And I'm really glad that I got a line that was bred for temperament specifically for quite a while, and I'm able to continue that.
I've noticed a certain golden retriever sort of temperament coming through on a lot of those.
Yes.
That's a good way to describe it. Golden retriever temperament. I like that. Let's go back and talk a little bit about understanding this whole growth equation that I stuck out there first thing, where growth is equal to genetic potential plus nutrition plus management. Now, there's not a thing in the world we can do to change genetics, but we can learn how to optimize the other two components, and that's nutrition and flock management. And this is where, if we don't put the proper effort into optimizing nutrition and management, we are going to set our birds up to fail.
Or at least waste some money and time in your husbandry practices. If you don't have at least 3 different feed formulas, you're either shortchanging your birds on one end or the other, or in the middle, because they do have different nutritional requirements.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't waste your money on high protein feed when your birds can't benefit from it. First off, and you can manage your growth better.
I'd learned early on that breed matters. Growth rate benchmarks are not one size fits all, and by that,
no,
I don't expect the same thing in body development from a flock of white-legged pullets as I would egg production potential in a flock of Plymouth Rock pullets. You have to take in what's the breed developed for and what's it capable of doing. Not what you want it to do, but what is it capable of doing.
And also recognizing that it can vary a little bit bloodline to bloodline within the same breed.
Oh, boy,
or a hatchery type birds versus exhibition birds. The breed of lay is probably going to be very different. The growth rate and development going to be very different from one genetic pool to another. So you're right on feed them to succeed, to see what the genetics are capable of.
Mm-hmm. Right now, we're looking at a lower fertility rate than I'd like to see at a surrogate flock of Chanticleers that I have at the local college. So, I'm going to be bringing my rooster over. They've had their hens isolated for a little while. They're actually doing a fun experiment to see how long it takes for a flock of hens to dry out once you remove the rooster.
That'll be a
We're,
neat
we're, we're
experiment
going
because
we're going
it
to
could be
answer this
3 weeks.
question in real college, no BS
Nice.
research.
I wonder if
it's
at least one of those hens will pop hot still after 6 weeks.
It's we can only afford 5 weeks because of the short grow out season up here in Vermont. We need to be and the school calendar. They need to be harvesting during a very specific week of the semester. So we can't. We want to set this up next year for a better experiment. But since we're looking at low fertility rates to begin with, I don't think it's a valid experiment to begin with. I'd like to get a better rooster in there and then do the experiment again. But if the same thing, if you're setting 100 eggs and you're only getting 50 chicks hatch, you're wasting
That's nowhere near
space.
enough.
You're wasting space and resources and time. And you know what? Something's wrong here. Is it the rooster or is it the hens? If you know you've got a productive hen because she's had a good hatch rate in the past, then, look at Mr. Rooster. And you're observing. Is he doing his job?
I tell you, flock observation, and we've talked about it so many times, but I don't know of anything that we can learn more from than flock observation. They're telling you
I have a
something.
pretty good example.
Well, lay it on us.
So, from my angle, I like to see a well filled in shrink bag, and that means that keel needs to be perfectly straight and beautiful. No dents, no divots, no curves, no bends. All about end result presentation. So if you put your birds in a grow pen and you leave them out there and all you do is the food and the water and you're not handling them, you're not monitoring anything, and then you go and start getting hands-on at point of lay, maybe 20, 24, 30 weeks old, and you start finding keels that don't feel right. They're not straight. The first question is, when did they go crooked? When did you last check? What is the source of it? Was it nutritional? Was it developmental? Was it genetic?
Was it
If
their
you
roosting
find it
barn?
and it's a surprise and you don't know when, it becomes a much trickier question to answer. So you want to be in there handling and monitoring to know when, what happened. It'll answer a lot of your future questions.
It will answer questions you don't even know you're going to have.
Exactly. Even if you don't think it's important, put it in your notes.
If it happens, jot it down. If it happens and you see it, jot it down.
Definitely.
Oh, my biggest regret. I don't need to write that down. I'll remember.
Oh, boy. Been there, done that.
I still do that.
Now, luckily, I go, which one of my notebooks did I write that down in? Because I got 4 notebooks and they all look
4.
exactly
I
the
have about 9, and 3 of them are in the barn.
just the active ones. These are the Right in the Rain notebooks because they're great and they can survive living in my back pocket.
Well, sometimes I have a legal pad and I tear a page off, and then where did I put that page? Did I fold it up, put it in my pocket, and run it through the wash?
I have been known to do that.
Yeah. But now with the tech and AI, you can take notes and then you can take a picture of that note and then you can give that picture to AI and it can start analyzing and figuring out the notes and data that you're collecting.
Exactly. It's
The
crazy.
changes in tech now are making it so much easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you jot down a handwritten note of your growth weights, you can just take a picture and have AI analyze your growth data after you've collected it daily or weekly and start seeing some real neat correlations that you can start making decisions off.
Yep. So we've talked about the body condition and frame development. And this is something that's going to be particularly of importance to the show breeders, but the feathering rate and the feather quality. Like I know when my birds are going to be, their hard feathers come in, and that's pretty much all that I care about, other than the fact that they don't have any feathers of an entirely wrong color. But I did choose a white breed, so it's pretty easy on. Now, Rip, you've put a lot of research into this. Yeah.
I tell you, color breeding and evaluating color is part of the reason that I'm as bald as I am. Trust me. That's no
Yeah.
joke. With reds, it's not just the color red you have to worry about. You have to worry about black. How much black? Is it just in the tail on males where it should be? Or is it in their hackle or their saddle? If it's in the hackle or saddle, you got problems.
Is there sheen coming up? Where's this beetle green coming from?
Oh, it's like I said, color breeding is the bane of my existence.
Why I have white birds. They just have to be white.
But
Just the easy way out. That's what it was.
It's not that
No,
easy
not
because
really.
then you have to worry about what color is the base. Do you ever see straw? Or is there silver involved? White is so
Yeah.
much more complicated than just white. But
Mhm.
thank God they're not penciled.
I agree with you. White, people think it's the easiest. White and black, they think are the two easiest colors to breed.
Those are actually
And
the hardest.
there's so many nuances and so many things that go into producing a good white or a good black bird. It's frightening. Frightening. It really is.
But I'm
Um,
also looking at, is everybody feathering in pretty much at the same time?
At the same time, at the same rate.
Same
You
time,
know, if I've
same
got
rate.
any stragglers or anybody ahead of the group, but I'm breeding for flock heterogeneity. So anybody that's ahead of the curve or behind the curve, psst, you're out.
And I also like to pay attention to when do they molt? Do they all molt at the same time? Or are they staggered, dragging it out for months, which is
Mhm.
not what you want? So pay attention to molt too.
That's going to be quite a ways down the road for me, because I don't like to have birds on my feed bill that long. Through the summer months now is something that I really need to start paying attention to, because the Chanticleers were bred to be a cold hardy breed. As climate shift happens and we're getting warmer and warmer summers, I'm noticing my birds are not as happy as they used to be. They're hanging out in the shade and looking like they're melting more and more. They're not happy with the increased heat and humidity, as they were bred for a colder environment. So when I'm looking at the vigor out in the yard on those really, I don't want to say hot because it never gets hot. We get above 93 days a year. But if it's above 80 and there's one bird that seems to be a little bit more bright and chipper and hopping around while all the others are hanging out in the shade, kind of panting, that may be the one that I want to start looking to breed from, because we're breeding in situ, or as things happen, and there's epigenetic development that happens as well. And the good breeder needs to start thinking about those things, because it is a trifecta. It's genetics, environment, and the feed. And the environment is constantly changing. Every year it's different. You're in a drought this year. We got mushrooms growing everywhere this year.
Yeah.
So how does this year's grow out going to be affected by this very wet season?
We'll find out.
Do they have the genetic backgrounds or building blocks to go for this epigenetic development to kick in and go, oh, I know what to do when the conditions are like this?
Thanks for listening, folks. This concludes part 1 of our Grow Out discussion. We'll share part 2 next week. If today's episode gave you information that will help you help your flock, share it with a friend that could benefit from it as well. Be sure to listen to our bonus content that is published on Thursdays and Fridays of each week. It's where we share information that we don't cover in our regular podcast episodes. Until next time, keep learning and improving. And most of all, keep enjoying the birds you love.